Hey there, thanks for tuning in to Duck Bricks. I'm Chris, and this is probably the most exciting and monumental video I've ever had the luck to be able to create. Because in my hands is a copy of the never-before-seen original LEGO Bionicle Story Bible from November of the year 2000, the year I was born. This copy of the Story Bible has never been released to the public. It is hand annotated by Christian Faber, by Alistair Swinnerton, by all these big names behind the creation of Bionicle as a theme. And in this video, we are not only going to be reading through this document in depth, but I am also going to do my best to make copies of this document available for free in the public online. If you want to read through it yourself, I will do my best to post this. If it's not linked in the description already, it should be soon. So, oh my goodness, this is so exciting, but let's backtrack a little bit. So earlier this year, I got the chance to meet Bionicle creator Christian Faber in his offices in Copenhagen, Denmark, which was honestly the day of a lifetime. Christian Faber has been a childhood hero to me. He was basically my George Lucas or my Tolkien growing up. I was so engrossed in the stories that he told with LEGO Bionicle and kind of the inception of the theme itself. And I feel like I owe a lot of who I am today to him and to him crafting a lot of my childhood. And so he was very, very kind to actually reach out and give me a tour of Copenhagen on a bike, which was so much fun. We got a chance to play around in mocap suits and do some actual motion capture, which was amazing. But of course, the big highlight was getting to unbox years and years of LEGO Bionicle history and just LEGO history in general, which he just had stowed away in boxes. And I actually have put out a couple of videos already, one of them unboxing just a ton of boxes that he had full of Bionicle stuff. There's another video out that is touring his private office, but this is probably the most anticipated video for me. I have wasted enough time already. Let's jump in to LEGO Media International Character and Story Bible, Legends of Bionicle, Book 4, The Legends of Matanui. Yes, Book 4. They knew they were going to do prequels already. Formerly Voodoo Heads or Voodoo Island, created by Alistair Swinnerton for S Kryptonite, based on the draft Bible supplied by LMI, draft 3 of 3, dated 7/3/2000, and amended by Bob 3/4/7 August of 2000. And finally, the final draft, which you can see later on in the document, was November of 2000. So this was very close to the launch of Bionicle. And there's some crazy, insane information here. Talks about ancient deities, different names for characters and masks, a look at prototype masks and prototype models, and an even alternate prequel concept. Before the legend of Matanui, there was the joy and deception of Matanui. Before the Turaga, there were the Kahuna. There's so much interesting stuff to see here. So without further ado, let's jump right in to the original LEGO Bionicle Story Bible. Okay, so this is it, probably the most exciting document that we are going to go through today, and I'm going to read every single page in detail. This is The Legends of the Bionicle, Book 4, The Legends of Matanui, formerly Voodoo Heads, Voodoo Island, created by Alistair Swinnerton, and all that jazz. So this is a Bionicle document that has honestly never been revealed to the world before. I literally got a whole new lighting setup just to be able to showcase documents like this one. I'm gonna go ahead, we're gonna unclip it right now. Be very, very careful with the way this is done. You can see the clip is even like rusted into the paper. This is genuinely an old document. It was amended August of 2000. And let's go ahead and crack this bad boy open. So, the first page is, this is an executive summary. It says that please do take very care to actually communicate all this. Okay, complicated release schedules, revealing key elements to the consumer. So they really wanted to make sure that they were actually releasing this in the order it should have been. Together we are strong, and an adventure from the time of legends. Compete with skill and imagination to uncover the massive power and solve the mystery of the island of Matanui. So these are all the taglines. To my knowledge, I don't think any of these taglines really made it into the advertisement. I mean, there was some form of together we are strong, like obviously that was kind of the unity thing. I don't remember an adventure from the time of legends, so I don't think that ever came in. But this Story Bible essentially goes into detail of pretty much everything. The characters, the environment, the legends, And let's go into it right now. I am reading this for the first time as we go through this video. So we have the island world here. Obviously, the dormant robot Matanui, so that was from the very beginning of the story, even the finger mountain, I think we all knew that, but the features of the island are the contours of the robot's face. Over the millennia, these have been transformed by nature into canyons, deserts, caves, gorgeous lakes, and craggy mountains. First of all, I love how this is written. Like, this feels like you're reading like a legend or a mystery of something. It could be anywhere, but it bears a striking resemblance to the South Sea Islands, so there you go. Characters. The island is dormant but not dead and is inhabited by droids. That is a really interesting usage because I believe Lucasfilm owns the license to the word droids, so maybe that's why they had to change that. But the story is they were inhabited by some sort of robots, and it looks like these were supposed to just be robots. I don't think there was any biomechanical aspect because they do call them just droids. So I don't know, maybe we'll see throughout the story Bible. The island is dormant but not dead. Heroes are like penicillin, so obviously that was the medicine thing. Now this is really interesting because this is the first time I've heard of some of these names. Tohunga, obviously the tribesman, that kept the same. The chieftain, the Kahuna Tohunga. So I think what this implies is that the chieftains were actually Tohunga. Like, Turaga and Matoran were not two separate things. They were just, I think, just elevated Elder Tohunga. That's what I'm reading from this. That's why they're the Kahuna Tohunga. And they're the robot's DNA. Okay, interesting. The Rahi or gatekeepers. So Rahi, that stayed the same, so I guess those are the animals. Rahi Tori, a giant tiger, and Rahi Kahu, a giant hawk. I remember reading in early Bionicle manuscripts that the Kahu was the original name for the great bird, which eventually became the Gecko bird, but we did get the Kahu in the alternate build for the Nui Jaga, so that's really cool to see how these ones were the big ones they were focusing on. I suspect that this is because, and we're going to reveal this in a future video, but I went through an original Boneheads of Voodoo Island comic that Christian Faber showcased, and the two main creatures showed in the builds were a giant tiger, which eventually became the Muwaka and Kanira, and a giant hawk, which I could not identify that build based on any Bionicle build. Obviously, we did get the Kahu eventually in Bionicle as the alt build for the Nui Jaga, but it looked completely different in the Boneheads of Voodoo Island comics. So I think this is based off of those early builds, so we'll take a look at that in a future video, and they serve as the robot's white blood cells. That's interesting. These are not the final names. And then the Manas, or Guardians, were the robot's immune system, so these were actually separated. Obviously, as Bionicle fans know, the Manas are Rahi now, but I guess they were kind of split up, and it seems like the Rahi were meant to actually take on a much bigger role as individual things. The way this actually describes them is that the Rahi Tori is like one single tiger and the Rahi Kahu is one single hawk, at least from what this is implying, so I'm very curious how that was supposed to be, but obviously eventually the Manas got folded into that. Now we also, oh that's interesting, the Makuta, the keeper of the robot's consciousness. This is really interesting how that was the original role for the Makuta, which I guess sort of is in line with the Brotherhood of Makuta in the storyline. And then we have the heroes. So obviously the names of the heroes did not change. You know their names by now. These six, once they found the 12 Kinohi, the Masks of Knowledge. Interesting how they eventually become the Masks of Power, but here they're the Masks of Knowledge, combined to become the Toa Nui. So obviously it was changed to Toa Kaida. Honestly, I feel like Toa Nui makes more sense to me because obviously you have Mata Nui. I think Toa Nui would have been a cool name, but I guess they wanted to split it up and make it differentiated because we do have Kaida here. Toa Kaida Akamai and Toa Kaida Wairua. So you have Wisdom and Spirit, which I think was changed to Wisdom and Valor instead of Spirit. But it's interesting how they do have the masks specified, like Gold Mask and Silver Mask. The final champions, two super droids, who will eventually challenge the Makuta for the Mask of Matanui and reawaken the sleeping robot. Ooh, this is interesting. Okay, so there's some changes here. Obviously, we have the elements, the Kahuna, which again, remember the Kahuna Tohunga are the Turaga, and then we just have other Tohunga here. So, Fire, Vakama, Turaga Vakama, Kahuna Vakama, yep, that's the same. Ahi, there was a Tohunga named Ahi, I think, and then of course you have Kapura. So, you have Kapura. Was there one named Ahi? I actually don't really remember. I mean, if this was supposed to be a main one, maybe not. Stone was Oniwa, so that's the same. Toka. Definitely no Toka that I know of in my Bionicle knowledge. And I don't think there was a Maro either. I don't think either of these names were kept. Water was Kakama. So Kakama, which is the Mask of Speed, was the original name for Nokama. Maku, okay, that stayed the same. And Inu. I don't remember if Inu was used. Inu sounds like a Komatoran to me, not a Gamatoran, but I could be wrong on that. I don't remember an Inu, though, so maybe that could have shifted. Ice, Huma, also not the same name. That was eventually going to become Nuju. Tio and Kopiki. Kopiki stayed the same. There was definitely no Tio, so that's definitely interesting. Earth, Wanua, same. Taipu, same. Onepu, same. Air, Matau, Tamaru, and Konku. So those all stayed the same. Very cool. Okay, but this is some notes. So, notes in August 22nd of 2000. Martin would like to suggest the following names adapted by Alistair's. So do you want to get them checked, or should we change them straight away? So they would rather not change Kahuna. That's really interesting. They wanted it to stay Kahuna, but as a backup, Taraga is their second choice. So I don't know why they had to switch that around. For whatever reason, they could not use Kahuna. Others, Ahi became Jala. Yep. Toka became Hafu. Makes sense. Inu became Kotu. Yep. Tio became Matoro. And Maro became Hooki. So, okay, that makes total sense to me. Interesting. Yeah, so these are all the final names we actually got. So these were the suggested names changed around, and then this was changed to Taraga. Mission. Provisional and subject to game needs. So the thing to remember about this story Bible is that a lot of it was based around the original Bionicle game and getting that off the ground. So this is very much focused on the game itself, which obviously never actually came out. So that's pretty crazy. But yeah, this was around the original game. But anyways, let's take a look here. The Toa are fired from pods from Matanui's fingers to latch on. That makes sense. They only know the Tohunga hold the key to their destiny. They want to find the Mask of Knowledge, which was changed to Mask of Power. Okay, they gain in power and knowledge, but never until the very end did they have the idea that the mask will ultimately enable them to combine forces and conquer Makuta. So again, this was supposed to be kind of a one-year story where they were supposed to combine and then beat Makuta and then restart Matanui. And it just kept getting prolonged more and more and more. So basic structure of the mission is to go through intellectual on the fly challenges. Each Toa was supposed to collect the mask with or without, preferably with, the help of the fellow Toa. Gotta emphasize the unity thing there. Upon placing the 8th Kanohi, the totem will transform. 8th Kanohi? Well, that's weird. So they're supposed to... It's 12 masks. Hold on. Each Toa must collect the 12 masks, but upon placing the 8th, they will get a final one. I'm a little confused as to why there's like 12 and then 8. And 8, I don't know what that's talking about. Maybe, I think I skimmed this earlier. I think there's more information here that goes into the Kanohi. Let me see. I'm pretty sure... Yeah, I don't know. I feel like there was something here that was like, here are the 8 main ones, and then there's like some that are less important. I feel like that was somewhere in this document. Oh yeah, spoilers, Hooki X Maku was a thing to the start. But anyway, let's keep on going with this. Game note, in the game, none of the Toa will place masks on the totems, only in the final stages. This will apply differently in plastic. Interesting. Okay. Weird. Once 3 of the Toa have received the 12 Kanohi, they will transform, morphing together to become the 2 greater entities. So here they are called the Toa Kaida. So over, like, the last page prior, they were called the Toa Nui. Here they're called Toa Kaida, so that's interesting how they were kind of shifting around the names. Only when they have morphed into the Toa Kaida will they be able to descend into the depths of Matanui, which makes sense. That's what happened in the Matanui online game. First, they must encounter the gatekeepers of this underground world. We have the Rahi Tori, a fearsome tiger, and the Rahi Kahu, a giant hawk. Interesting. Oh, so there was a note here. Wait, to sit on them. So they were supposed to ride them. That's wild. Okay. So the Toa Kaida would be too large to sit on them. So originally the Toa were meant to actually ride the tiger and hawk. That's so interesting. Game note, the only adversaries we're planning to have underground would be the Manas and Makuta himself. Okay, so the game developers came in and they were like, nah, get this out of here. These are going to be out on the island. All the Rahi, Wasp, so Nui Rama, Tiger, and Boxing Gorilla. Wait, is this confirmation Tarakawa was supposed to be a gorilla and not a lizard? That's wild. I mean, they must have changed that. Is that changed? I mean, I guess I can kind of see the gorilla aspect now. Is this confirmation that Tarakawa is supposed to be a gorilla? That's crazy to me. Okay, well, that's new information.
Oh, here they are. Okay, 8 Kanohi. The Toakaida must now combine forces to combat or invade the Rahi, and find the 2 Makoki. What? What? The 2 Makoki, the great mass of power, each of which are made up of 8 smaller Kanohi, before they are overcome and dispatched back to the surface to begin the mission again. Each smaller Kanohi must be placed within a special place in the Pakohu, the canyons of the mind of Madanui. Now this is very interesting. This paragraph is quite interesting to me, because the Makoki stones obviously were a thing, completely separate to Kanohi. They have their whole backstory and lore. Those were separate artifacts. So eventually that got retooled, I think, into the separate stone artifacts. And then we have the Kanohi mass, again, there's emphasis on the 8 Kanohi, which eventually became 6. And here they're the great massive power. So the Makoki are the massive power. Once they changed the Makoki to stones, they must have then retooled what they call the Kanohi to massive power instead of massive knowledge. Okay, so it's starting to make sense. I don't think that Bakuhu was ever a thing. I don't think that was ever shown in the story. So that's interesting. The canyons of the mind of Madanui. Interesting. Okay. Once they are placed there, they are safe from the Rahi, and the Toakaida are able to go off in search of other Kanohi. Okay, so there are like alternate ideas here. The gold and silver mass could be the Makoki, and they must be found by the Toakaida before facing Makuta. The final element required to restart Madanui is located deep in the Pakohu. There they will find a wall where there are carved symbols and recesses for the 2 Makoki. Once the second Makoki is put in place, the wall rotates to reveal a recess of Makoki Nui, which must be taken from Makuta. Honestly, I feel like this is too complicated. I mean, I know I'm talking about Bionicle lore here, but I can see why they simplified it. Because, if I'm understanding this correctly, they have to find 8 masks each. The Toakaida each have to get 8 masks, then they will get the Makoki, and then they will take the 2 Makoki and put them in the Pakohu to get the Makoki Nui, but you can't get it until you take it from Makuta. That's a lot of, like, swapping masks for other masks. I can kind of see why they simplified it, but that's so interesting. Inspirational cues. This is funny. The terminology of this adventure is firmly rooted in the language and mythology of the Polynesians, from the Maori to the mysterious Easter Islanders. Oh no. Okay, this is probably genuinely one of the funniest paragraphs here. Obviously, as Bionicle fans know, this did offend the Maori, and this is kind of funny because it says that LEGO was like, oh, don't worry, this will not offend any Polynesian audience. The terminology and mythology is sufficiently far removed from any one cultural root to avoid this. But clearly not far removed enough, because the Maori did have very just cause to actually say that you are appropriating our culture. So, very funny how they were like, oh yeah, that's fine. Don't worry. Indiana Jones did it, so it's okay. Oh man, that is really funny. They're really trying to, like, avoid... They've put a lot of thought into this. They were like, okay, let's not think about Judeo-Christian or Romano-Greek to avoid offending the usual lobby groups. I mean, I guess that one didn't go so well for them. It is also sufficiently weird to seem otherworldly, and thus the island can be seen either on Earth or another planet and severs any connections on present-day societies. So this is like internal information where they were like, don't worry, LEGO, we're not offending anyone. The main reason, though, is linguistic. They want to invent names. For example, Pokemon are exotic, so they were drawing inspiration from that. And the plethora of different Kanohi, which all should have different names, as well as the various combinations. So they wanted to market this the Pokemon generation. Collectible is the operative word here. That is so interesting. In reality, much like Indiana Jones, wow, they were really like, hey, Indiana Jones got away with some pretty racist stuff, so can we. But no, they were, I mean, this was the 2000s. That is pretty funny, though. But they were trying to draw from Polynesian myths, from the 7 cosmic elements theory that appears in one form or another in every belief structure, even in Tolkien. The setting of the adventure is pseudo-Polynesian with definitive Easter Island overtones, exotic enough to attract the target audience, not to mention their parents. Alright, that's fair. Like, it was an interesting setting, so I'll give them that. Okay. Tone and pace. The primary tone will not be confrontational, but inquisitive. The quest will involve much more detective work than force, but there is a certain amount of confrontation necessary, mostly not until the final battle with the Makuta. It doesn't mean the pace will be slow. The danger from the Rahi and the Manas will be enough to ensure the audience is constantly on its toes. There will always be a certain level of peril. Okay, so the original story seems to be that you wouldn't encounter any Rahi at all until delving deep into Makuta's lair. And the island was, like, actually pretty safe. Sure, you might, like, lose your Kanohi if you're not careful, presumably by the environment. But it doesn't sound like there were supposed to be Rahi on the island. I think that was actually put in because of the game. Because there's a note here that says, yeah, the game said, all of the other Rahi will appear above ground. So they must have had to change the story because of the game. So that's like a core piece of the Bionicle storyline that was actually changed, I think because they wanted some conflict in the game. Which I think was a good choice. If you were just wandering around the island the entire game, and like no danger whatsoever, yes, you can lose it due to natural causes, like if you like slip and fall, it might fall off your face, but I feel like having enemies on the island is much more interesting. The story. The audience will not realize the true quest of the Toa they control. They will rely on information gathered from the Tohunga. While they don't mislead the audience, the information they give is entirely based on the legendary view of the island they inhabit. Okay. At this stage, the Toa are unaware of the reality, so the audience should be as well. Our communication... This is so important. Bob says, our communications must be from the point of view of and limited to the level of understanding of the Tohunga. That's really important. This is a wild paragraph right here. I mean, if y'all are reading ahead, let's go through this. Madanui was cast out of paradise by the great beings. First mention of great beings in Bionicle lore. Rangi Nui, the Sky Father, and Papa Tuanuku, the Earth Mother, or Rangi and Papa. These are legitimate Polynesian Maori deities. These are actually like real-world deities who do exist for daring to bring light to the world. So Madanui was almost like a Prometheus-type character who was cast out, sentenced to rule the mortals that inhabited the planet. But when he was cast out, his nemesis, the Makuta, also escaped from the great beings and cast a spell on Madanui, causing him to fall asleep on the bottom of the ocean. And now the Makuta rules the planet, causing pain and suffering for its inhabitants. They believe that when Madanui is awoken, Makuta will be banished and the world will be born again, pain and suffering will be no more, and everyone will live in peace. Madanui will be released by 6 heroes who will arrive in stone pods from the sky to be born in the sacred stone circles beside the sanctuaries of the totems. Wild. The Toa will then search for their Kanohi. Again, emphasis on 8. They want to get all 8, the mass of knowledge. So 8 masks of knowledge. And when they are found, they will draw from their totems a stone revealing the 9th Kanohi, the Kanohi Nui, or Great Mask. And I think if we step back, this is probably written at different times, because the Kanohi Nui was the Makoki was referred to here. So they were kind of messing around with the name there. The Toa will then do battle with the fearsome Makuta for the final mask, and then Madanui will awake, the Makuta will be banished, and peace will be restored to the planet before he returns to his rightful place in the heavens. Honestly, kind of sounds like the storyline of G2. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, this is pretty interesting because we're going to delve more into this, with the backstory and legend, which really goes deeper into this. But obviously, Madanui was actually cast out by great beings for giving sentience to the Matoran, maybe? Like, maybe instead of Velika, who eventually gave it in the Bionicle story, maybe it was Madanui who actually gave them sentience, and that was how that happened, and that's why he was cast out. So that is so interesting. Of course, the Tohunga don't know the reality behind the legends, and the audience themselves only begin to discover it. Even the Kahuna Nui doesn't know the whole legend. Wait. Whoa! Oh, yeah, hey, yo! Yo, oh my goodness. Hold up. The reality is, in fact, Madanui was just one of 6 similar robots that landed on the planet. A kind of robot expeditionary force that went wrong, and somewhere on the planet lie the other 5, all in different locations. Oh my goodness. That's pretty wild. That is some wild stuff there. Oh my goodness. This is so cool. What? That is legitimately the first time I read that. Oh my goodness. That's crazy. So there was supposed to be 5 other robots. But that's another story. Okay. This is also very interesting. So, we start with Book 4. Much like Star Wars, we start with Episode 4, Legends of Madanui, we have the joy and deception of Matanui, past tense, that's a legend. Present tense is the ways of the Tohunga, and then future tense prophecy is the prophecy of all the 6 Toa, and the fate of Matanui. Now this is very interesting to me, because this right here, the warriors of Nagarara, that was an alternate prequel concept for what could have been the prequel, kind of the Metro Nui style thing. I'm gonna guess that Nagarara was supposed to be one of these other robots, and each set of 3 years of Bionicle was supposed to focus on the stories of one of the other robots, but they decided not to do that. And I really wish I could see this, because it's cut off. I'm thinking that says Return of the something. Man, that's insane. That is crazy. But they really had this planned out as we are in the middle of the story to start off. That is absolutely insane. Okay, these 2 pages so far are like my favorite ones, because we've got the legends here as well. The legends serve 3 purposes. 1 as a backstory to the whole concept, 2 to unfold the story, and 3 as clues to the characters, and so on. So the backstory. In the time before time, the great spirit Matanui was cast out of paradise by the sky father Ranganui and the earth mother Papatuanuku, and went down to the world to watch over the people, and the animals, and all living things. But Matanui did not know he had been followed from the skies by his brother, the dark spirit Makuda, who was jealous of Matanui and wished to possess the world. And so he cast a spell on his brother, causing him to fall asleep, never to awaken again. And then he, Makuda, began to rule everything that lived in the world. And where there was joy, he brought misery. Where there was prosperity, he brought suffering. And where there was life, he brought death. And the people prayed to Rangi and Papa that they might see what the dark spirit had done. And Rangi and Papa were displeased, and promised that one day, when the people had proved themselves worthy, there would come from the skies 6 heroes who would seek out the masks of Matanui that were the keys to his life force, and which had been hidden by Makuda, so that Matanui should not awaken. And they would battle with Makuda and awaken Matanui. Then Matanui would take back what had been seized from him, and bring peace and happiness to the world once more. That is our Bionicle Retold style telling of Book 4, Chapter 1, The Joy and Deception of Matanui. What an interesting piece of history here. This is the coolest thing to me, because this is the original backstory of Bionicle that never was supposed to be in existence. Like, they actually changed it, so that's so cool. Okay, we have a lot more to go. We gotta go quickly. The whole story, this will be the whole adventure, told bit by bit. The details are very much wrapped up in the adventure's design. Okay, whatever. Individual legends. Okay, so there are individual stories here, and this is an example of what it would look like. So, and the Toa Onua, who is possessed of little sight, oh, I guess maybe he needs the Ruru, shall seek out the Kanohia Kaku. Oh, okay, there you go. That he might gain the power to see where others cannot. And Onua shall travel to the caves of Papa Niho, ooh, interesting new location, and journey far within to seek the resting place of the fabled Kanohi. He must overcome many challenges, and he shall be afraid, for he shall not know the nature of what lies ahead. And this is Book 4, Chapter 2, Onua and the Tohunga. That is interesting. That is really cool. I love how it's told like a legend. Like, this is almost told like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like, it feels almost biblical in the way that it's told. Like, this is not like a normal story. That's so interesting. Okay, here we go. Here's the good stuff. Of the 8 Kanohi that each Toa must find. So they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Whoa, okay. Concealment was one of the main ones. So they swapped that around. What did they swap it with? Oh, so they swapped... The How was not supposed to be one of the main masks? I mean, maybe the concealment mask was just the How, and they just switched what their powers were. Oh my goodness, that is interesting. So, the Great Massive Power, so there's 6 of them. So, what 8? I'm confused by 8. If someone understands what they're talking about with the 8, do let me know in the comments. Maybe I'm missing something. Do they mean 8 by 6 of these, and then the 2, like, Warua and Akamai masks? I don't think so, though. No, because you take the 8, and then you get the Makoki masks, they said. Anyway, concealment, they had no idea. Invisibility, no clue what that was going to be called, which eventually became Vakama's mask for the Turaga masks. They have the Miru for levitation. That makes sense. Oh, so these are like visually how you want to see it in-game. Pakari's strength increase when worn. Toa's limbs covered by crackling whiffs of energy. That would be really cool. Kakama triples movement speed, matrix-style motion blur. Akaku, ability to see secret doors and hidden items, and you get infrared x-ray mode. And Kaukau, you can breathe water, dive great distances, and you got bubbles coming out. Very cool. Interesting how they had Kakama already locked here, whereas I think Kahuna Kakama was the name of Nokama earlier. Let me see, where is that? Somewhere in one of these pages we had Kahuna Nokama. Yeah, there it is. Kahuna Kakama. So that was before they changed it, and this seems to be at a later time after they changed it. So different pages of this document were written at different times. I know I've written a lot of Google Docs where I'm like, oh wow, this page was written like a month ago. That's not accurate anymore. But yeah, so we have Mortal Masks. So these are, I guess, the noble masks. We have the Ruru with night vision, Matatu, move items, Rao translate, Komao, mind control, Hao is shielding, and Mahiki is illusion. So this is all the same. These two just swapped importance. Oh, interesting. Okay, so this kind of continues down here. So you have a green night vision, object levitates to player, unreadable glyphs are made readable, mask shimmers with a green glow while activated. Oh, cool, so you can control other creatures in limited situations. You have an energy shield, and you assume the visual shape of the selected creature. Interesting. Oh my, this game sounds awesome. I mean, I know that people are working on recreating the game. This document might actually be really useful in recreating the game, not gonna lie. If folks are interested, hopefully this might help. But okay, each set of 12 of different functions, blah blah blah. You might actually help people get things that they need. Okay, I think nothing super crazy going on here. Ever-increasing knowledge will be related to media. They can be worn by all the Toa, only one can be worn at a time, and each must be activated by a special power to work. These masks also permanently increase the health and energy. See the mask chart above for details. Okay, we feel strongly that the Tohunga and Kahuna Tohunga, aka the Turaga, should be more involved, so to provide info, and also incorporate the McDonald's and like the regular Turaga items. I don't know what HTO means. Like, I don't know what that means. I'm curious. More fully into the game and give them a meaningful place in the story. That makes sense. You gotta get that marketing in, you know? Gotta make the characters prominent. Other notes on Kanohi masks. Every mask was blown out of the mouth by Madanui like a giant sneeze. Oh, that's kind of funny, actually. In software, they're smooth and gray. However, Chrome Silver is Warua's. Okay. Great Mask, Mortal Mask, and Tohunga Mask. So I guess that was Great, Noble, and Tohunga. That makes sense. I kind of like the name Mortal Masks. I kind of wish they kept with that one. They have different molds. There's also a totem. They resemble the lid that each of the pods are packed in. That lines up. Let's see. We've got, with the Kuna Tunga, HTO items. I mean, that's like a reference for the boxed items, I guess. An invisible signal is sent to move towards the beaches. Oh, that's the quest for the Toa. Or like the Takua's like journey thing. Yeah, okay. The mask has been stolen by Makuta's minions. Interesting. The Toa canister lid will also be used all over other places to open the temple door. Interesting. A massive version of the Toa pod lid could be also used as the final gates to the depths. Very cool. Okay. That all makes sense. Nothing super crazy going on. They wanted to incorporate the canisters. It's cool they were thinking of that. Main characters. So when they were born from their pods, so it's talking a lot about born, which is really interesting. So the Toa have two levels. They're legends, which are the exploits in the time before time. Hey, there you go. So that was in the Story Bible. In reality, it's the backstory on the marketing material and then their actual physical and intellectual abilities, which will grow as they find more masks. Oh my goodness, this is... now we're getting to cool stuff. I mean, all this stuff is cool, but we're 30 minutes in and we're getting to really interesting stuff here. So, Onua is an earth spirit. He was created by the great beings, with the continents of the planet were forming from fiery molten lava. Watches over the land, he inflicts earthquakes when he's displeased with the way they're caring for his domain. So, this is a really interesting one because this one obviously is based off of the Toa more as spirits, and I know that internally, if you read up on the history of Bionicle, there was a lot of internal debate as to whether or not the Toa should be more relatable, as almost like humans, or if they should be like gods and spirits. And I think what they were going for here is that what they're trying to say is that these are the legends. They're not actually like this. what they are what they like actually are in the story, but then they tone back the legends because I guess they didn't want their main characters to feel like spiteful and angry gods. But that's a really cool idea. At his physical form, Onua is at one with the what did they mean by this? Onua is at one with the land and able to communicate with and learn from it, much like the Native Americans. Interesting. Yeah, hey, the 2000s were a different time. That's really funny. I mean, that's in the Story Bible. Oh my god, yeah. That's oof. That is a certified LEGO 2000 Story Bible moment. But yeah, okay, cool. He can hear trouble coming from miles away. He is scraping out tunnels in the rocky cliffs over Papa Niho Jaw Reef. Okay, so that was like, I think Niho is the Niho Falls? Is that what it's called? The Gamatoran, I think so. Oh my goodness, everyone's gonna flame me of my Bionicle knowledge if I got that wrong. But okay, low squat body is very strong in character. He thinks deeply, and when he speaks, it is always in a considered way. That doesn't mean he always looks after everyone equally. He cannot tolerate fools, although he will always give anyone the benefit of the doubt the first time. Woe betide them if they mess up a second time. Onua has no patience for fools. I respect that. Like, that's part of his character. Like, you mess up once, alright, you're fine. You mess up twice, you're done. You're done. Like, Onua does not care. Okay. Liwa is the spirit of the air, the youngest. Interesting. Created by the great beings in order for life on the planet to sustain itself. He controls the clouds, the winds, and fights with Gali, the spirit of water, and the rains are a result of the conflict between the two spirits. Interesting. In physical form, he's almost monkey-like. Ooh, he inhabits the treetops of the jungles around Kauai, which is Chin Bay. Now, I guess that was too obvious, so they chose not to use that one. Moving around the jungle, he's very acrobatic. He has an almost clumsy, loafing walk when on flat surfaces. Kind of see him walking like Jar Jar Binks now. He's not down to earth, he's more flighty. This makes sense with Liwa's character, I think. His hunches almost prove to be right, but there's a fight, he's the first to get involved. Okay, in contrast, Tahu is the oldest of the Toa. The fire spirit, created by the great beings when the planet was first forming. They have the greatest of respect for Tahu because fire destroys quicker than anything. But they see him as a guardian. He's also the quickest to anger, working in collusion with Liwa to battle Gali. Oh man, they're teaming up on Gali, rip! That's actually pretty funny. Okay. At Legend, so is reality. I kind of wish we got this friendship. Tahu fights side by side with Liwa, the yin to his yang. Oh, I don't think we really got that in the story. I mean, it was more like Kopaka and Pohatu were kind of bros. Or they were like they were opposites, but opposites attracted. I don't remember Tahu and Liwa having this relationship. That would have been cool. He's most at home in the molten world of the Mangai volcano, so Mouth Volcano. Uses incredible balance to surf, often to Gali's annoyance. Oh man, he's just like sending the lava to the ocean. And he's the most feared. Even the Rahi, again, the Rahi were just supposed to be the underground gatekeepers of Madanui, are wary of him. As befits a fire spirit, he is hot-headed and irrational with a flaming temper, least patience, but he's very loyal. Yeah, it makes sense. Okay, Gali, spirit of water, the only female Toa. Older only than Liwa. Okay, so she's the second youngest, the wisest of all of them. Interesting. She's the sustainer of life, never gets conceited about it. Still a mention of droids. That's so weird to see that outside of Star Wars. But she does get angry when sometimes she will flood the island, although it does take a lot to anger her, unless you pollute the water. Man, I really wish that this was still a part of the story. That's so interesting. Lake Neho is I. Oh, that's what it was. It was Neho Falls, I think? Because, okay, that's I. Interesting, that's what that means. She can't exactly control the waters, but she can work in harmony with them. Interesting. Okay, on to Kopaka. Kopaka is the spirit of ice, a gruff male counterpart to Gali's water spirit. He is cool and calculating, makes sense. They fear and respect him because he brings the winters, but it's always harder for Tahu to do them harm. So he, like, protects them from Tahu. That's crazy. Mount Ihu, that did stay. And then the severity of the winter is dependent on the outcome of his battle with Gali. Oh, wow, that's really interesting. In reality, because again, that's the legend. That is, now we are in reality. He skis up and down the slopes, uses blade to cut through, knows the way of the ice and snow. He prefers to work alone, and will only join forces if it's absolutely necessary for his own survival. Okay, Pohatu. I'm curious if Pohatu and Kopaka, like, as a team, is mentioned here. Or was that something that, like, was just a side thing that was created later? So Pohatu's a stone spirit when the fires of creation began to cool. He is a slow, but basically friendly character. Does that mean he's, like, was he supposed to be dumb? Like, he's a slow but friendly character. Oh, not good with snap decisions, but once he decides in the course of action, he sticks with it. He is the spirit that inhabits every rock and stone. If they anger him, he will cause landslides and make the very fabric of their buildings crumble around them. In truth, he inhabits the foothills, he prefers the lower slopes, he is immensely strong, and can literally move mountains. Okay, that makes sense. He is liked by all the Toa. When there is trouble, his only fear is water, and he sinks like a stone. Okay, the Toa Kaida even have their own bios. They will morph from their lower hero state into the Toa Kaida, the next level of being and consciousness. Interesting. Their physical attributes will depend on them, making character description problematic. Okay, they will inherit the abilities of their donor Toa, but also have their own special characteristics. That makes sense. Number 1 is Akamai. Akamai is the spirit of wisdom. Okay, so here they have wisdom and valor. So this is a more updated one. Always follow the path of non-violence. There you go. Although he can and will defend himself with deadly force. It's interesting how they gave them characteristics. They didn't really have characteristics in the actual Modern Nui Online game. But maybe they were supposed to have it in this actual game, and we just never got to this. Waira was the perfect complement. The spirit of valor is a patient spirit. But when he fights, he's like the whirlwind. Interesting. So once they find the Makoki, the Great Mask of Power, they're ready to battle Makuta. So, again, the Makoki were the gold and silver masks. Interesting. Okay, secondary characters. The Kahuna, which are the Turaga, and their Tohunga. The Kahuna of the Tohunga are the Keepers of the Legends, a society of priests that administer to the well-being of the island home. There are the 6 Kahuna, who are the masters of the legends of the island. Did they also get characteristics, or did they just get individual... Yeah, no, I don't think they got individual descriptions. Oh, they did! Oh, that's wild! Okay, well, this is cool, because we can actually see a look at some of the early, almost prototypes for the Kahuna, or the, I guess, Turaga. So we have, yep, Kakama there, and Huma, so these are the original names. No actual weapons for these two yet, because I think those were really specially created for them, so that's really interesting to see. I mean, all the weapons, I think, were specially done for them. Maybe some of these were from I don't think any of them were from Technic previously, actually, so they're probably still working on them, but I like how they obviously have the different heights here. Some of the heights did change around, but overall, that's what you have to expect. Kahuna, hey, they called it, I knew it, yes. Kahuna and the Tohunga robots, not droids, because Lucas is a trademark on droids. I literally said that earlier, that's really funny. Are like spirits, not seeming to be of real substance, but capable of moving physically in the world. Weird. That's so interesting. How they, like, that's a weird way of describing them. They function like DNA, they carry all the information they have. Legends are confused and unclear. Oh, this is cool. The Kahuna of the village always leads a Tohungan Haka, which is that's a real thing in Maori culture. There is a Haka, dance and chat in Maori style, with their chosen aides at their side. These chosen villagers are often champions of the Tohungan sport, so I guess that was Koli before it had a name, or are somehow outstanding achievers in village life. The ability to make others laugh and to remember stories. Tohunga are very forgetful, are highly prized skills. That's pretty funny how that's in the story Bible. The Kahuna are wiser, but they're harder to find. With more mass, it becomes easier for the Toa to find them. I like how this implies that they're just like, come back when you're like more powerful. We don't really want to talk to you until you have more stuff. That's actually really funny. Okay, Tahu Village. This is before Takoro. This is just Tahu Village here. The Tahu Shrine is located near the... Wait, did every single village get a description? Oh my god, this is golden. We have so much more content to go. Oh my goodness. Okay. Kahuna Vakama, Fire. Holder of the Great Fire Staff. Great friends with Matau. I guess, yeah, after Legend of Metru Nui, they kind of were. They kind of made up after the Web of Shadows. Let's see. Little time for nonsense and practical jokes, but the fearlessness can seem impulsive or foolish. Ahi... Oh, Son! Son of Lee. Okay, that's interesting. So, love is canon? Bionicle fans? No, maybe. But Ahi is the son of Lee, the greatest surfer Motunui has known since Tahu last walked upon the land. Interesting. Yeah, this is like his father. So Lee became Lee-Con, Ahi became Jowler, and we do have Lee mentions in Motunui Online game as well, but he is the obvious choice to stand on Vakama's right hand. His chief failing is that he does not always have faith in others, especially Kapura. No Takua mention. Interesting. Kapura stands on Vakama's left side for the Great Haka because he is a little slow, but he learns a secret art. Okay, so this is literally in the Story Bible. He is a single-minded nature that enables him to learn the secret art of covering large distances quickly by walking slowly. He is a... This is actually in the Motunui Online game. I think most of the Motunui Online game feels like it was built off of this lore. But you have a mention of the Tren Krom break. You have... I think there were early mentions of Papa and Rangi in like some deleted content. I think Minog was probably based on this, because he's literally coughing and farting flame balls, which is something he did do. No mention of the captain of the guard or anything, although they do talk about the questing partners. Pohatu village, okay, let's see. They have the Feld, which is a huge plain. That is a new thing. If you stood away, oh, there is Koli. Okay, a 4-way goal scoring sport that can be played either on foot or mounted on Rahi. Interesting. Oniwa is known as the referee. He is sure-footed and swift. He often travels to meet with Wenua. Okay, interesting. Yeah, I think that mostly makes sense in line with his character. Toka, so I think that's Hooki. I think this is Hooki and this is Hafu. Is this... Yeah, I think this is Hooki, because Hooki Toka is the greatest goal scorer of all time. Let me see... Okay, yeah, this is the funny one. I saw this line when I was skimming it, and I was like, I was the Leo pointing meme. Maku sees in him more than just another, sees more in him than just another competitor in the Tohungan games. Love actually, okay, Maku x Hooki actually canon, or at least actually in the original Story Bible. Most of this is not canon because this was changed drastically, but that part, that was in there. That's really funny. So normally he would like be angry, but he was like kind of cool with it when Maku did it. All right, I see what it is. Okay. Maro, which eventually became another Hafu original. Hafu. He is one of the greatest storytellers. He does a lot of carvings. Okay, I think this makes a lot of sense. Yeah, this is in line with his character. He was pretty boastful in Minog as well. So I guess that he sends others on wild goose chases just like because he finds it funny. I actually don't really have that, but that's kind of funny. Gali Village. Okay. They have Lake Nahu. Yep, that makes sense. They've been trying to find the missing mask. Oh, wow. So Tohunga have, like, swam away to find the missing mask, but they disappeared. That is crazy. Okay. Wow. Oh, this is some, like, interesting lore that we never actually got. So they are saying that the Tohunga have been venturing out to find the mask so that Gali will arrive from the sky to save them. But they've just been, like, swimming out into the ocean and presumably dying, or maybe finding one of the other robots out there. But Kakama, aka Nokama, was the Turaga here, fishing on the black rocks where she receives the great thoughts of Rangi and Papa. Her fork is made from the bones of a Makuta fish. Yeah, there you go. From back in the time of Manu. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. That was actually part of it, I think. That's really cool. Interesting. She treasures her champions. Inu, who I guess is Inu supposed to be Holly? Or is Inu... Because we have Maku. Let me go back to the early pages, because we had... Okay, Inu... Oh, Kotu. Oh. Inu is Kotu. Alright, interesting. Okay, well, next is Maku. Like Inu, Maku is a Tohunga who lives in the village of Gali. She is older, better at canoe racing. So why is she second? So she often puts herself in danger because she has a kind heart, wants to jump in. And then Kotu, which was in Motunui Online Game 2, but never got any real importance in the Bionicle story. So that's interesting to see. Physically smaller, but she has... Okay, interesting. She has like some practical jokes. Yeah, I don't think this really was a major character at all. They didn't really cover this whatsoever. That's interesting. It had a lot more focus on Holly. Anyways, okay, Kopaka Village and Shrine. High in the frozen wilderness of Mount Ihu lies a world of ice chasms, rope bridges, and avalanches where little can be heard through the eerie whistle of the wind. That is cool. That is sick. Okay, Huma, is that Matoro? No, Interpreter, that's Tio. So Tio must be Matoro. I'm gonna have to check what these names map to. Okay, Tio is Matoro. Did we get an explanation for who Huma is? No Huma. Okay, Huma, maybe Kopi? I don't know. I mean, I don't really know. Let's see. He can tell stories. Oh, I'm so dumb. Huma is Nuju. It's Kahuna Huma. My bad. Kahuna Huma is Nuju. Yeah, because he tells stories in gestures and whistles. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. And then we have Matoro, who is on the right-hand side. Matoro was a great narrator who portrays himself theatrically. Oh, that's interesting. That's like, that wasn't really his character, but that's interesting. So it makes him seem more important than the other Tohunga. I mean, I guess he eventually was, and as a result, he's often the victim of practical jokes, which he takes in good spirit. Okay, and then you have Kopi. Kopi or Kopiki stands to the side. He is a really great artist and storyteller, but he's kind of aloof, so Nuju wants to like cut him down to size to reach his true potential. Oh, Ninjago moment. But that's really funny. So being so negative about him is a little harsh because he's actually really good. So he's like really talented, but Nuju wants to kind of teach him a lesson. Okay, that's interesting. Never really got that out of his character, but yeah. Onua's Caves and Shrine. Near the reef there is a quarrying tribe. Even in the dim light of these dark days, there's little activity because they prefer to work underground, but at night the village comes to life. Oh, so the village was above ground, and then they were just working underground. Interesting. Oh, so they were considering making it outdoors because they wanted it the first village of the game you encounter, and they didn't want the first village to be underground. Interesting. Okay, weird. Wenua. Okay, here. He carries the drill of Onua. He can listen to things. Very cool. He does not suffer fools, much like Onua. I like how, like, the entire Earth thing is, like, they just have no patience for fools. But only once. Taipu. Okay, we've got Taipu. Clumsy but enthusiastic. That makes sense. I think this is in line with Madanui online games. So we have the Chronicler's Company here, which is really nice. So that's Taipu. Onepu is right here. He is a fast worker, but not a good worker, because he usually has something else on his mind. The greatest player in Uscle Racing with the fast 5 seasons. Nothing super interesting here, but you do have Uscle Racing, so you have Uscle Crabs. Okay. Liwa Tribe. We are gotta keep going here. They show their affection by imitating, which often causes conflict with the Komatorn, or the Kopakin Tohunga, who think they're just making fun of them. That's really funny. Okay. Matau is the singer. Yep, they had a lot of music and stuff there. He has a lot of jokes. He carries a cow staff. Oh, interesting how they called it that. Okay, he prefers swift weaving flying at low levels. As a Kiwa champion, yes, we had the Kiwa birds in Madanui online game. Very nice. And we have Tamaru and Kongu. Of course, these are the main ones. So Tamaru is the one here. He, who says Tio is it? Wait, which one's Tio? Oh, so Tio was Tamaru's original name, and that's like actually a typo. They meant to change that one, but they didn't. Interesting. But he doesn't want to be removed from the right-hand side for the Great Haka, which was a very important thing that was shown in early footage of the game, but we never actually saw in the story, really. I think it's canon? Is the Great Haka canon, or is that just something they really wanted to include but never did? I don't know. Someone in the comments who remembers, let me know. I think it was canon, actually. Just we never really saw it. Kongu is very fast. Okay. Certainly fast in the trees. He talks fast. He's just fast. Surprisingly, he remembers almost all that he is told, but is not always so clever about who he tells it to. Okay, well that's the last of the Tohunga. Now we have the Rahi. Oh, this is so funny. The Rahi Tori. Don't use Tori because Mattel fired an intent to use it in 1999 on Class 28's Toys and Sporting Goods for Dolls. Yeah, I think Tori's a Mattel doll. That's really funny. Okay. So that's a tiger, but they changed it. And Kahu, which is the hawk. They are ruthless, never feel pity, and can never be bargained with, but they can be tamed, used to help them like a domestic horse or dog, but they can also just as quickly turn and try to remove both the Toa and their Kanohi. That would have been cool. I kind of wish I was part of the story. Like, imagine the Toa riding around the Muwaka or Kanera. That would be really cool. But here we have the Makuta. Okay, original... Whoa. Whoa. Someone needs to build a mock of this ASAP. The Makuta. A whirling, kicking, screaming, and clawing beast with 3 heads. Cobra, tiger, and hawk. Each of which must be defeated before they replicate and split off from the Makuta, forming many separate and equally deadly beasts. That sounds so metal. That's awesome. I kind of wish we got that. That's so interesting. Wow, okay. Well, mention the manas there, but yeah, okay, and that's all on Makuta. That's it. It was just a description. Wow. Okay. Game design. This is the game stuff. Reinforce collectability. Make the player collect all secondary items and mass, so their weapons as well. Get all 6 Toa. Incorporate all the SKUs, so obviously all the products, the manas, the Rahi, and important and meaningful game. Establish varying levels of mass power. This is established for game design and trading card games. So yeah, they were planning on the trading card game back then. They have progressional rewards. The player is rewarded over time. Let's see, what else do we have? Need for details. They had a lot of debates on how the Bionicle story should be revealed, so LEGO Direct said they should have a systemized and optimized strategy, organized strategy of how they reveal information to consumers. Why do we need to give very specific details about each Toa quest outside of the games? That's really funny. So they were just like, they were really hinging on the game, and the game just never happened. So that's kind of crazy how they just had to pivot last minute. This entire Bible is built around the game being the most important piece of Bionicle storyline, which never got released. Imagine an alternate world where the game was released, and honestly, I feel like Bionicle might have been worse off for it, because most people fell in love with Bionicle because of the Motunui online game. Okay, glossary. I think we're nearing the end. We have all the characters, one of the Tohunga gods, blah blah, nothing super crazy here. Toa Nui is still there. Wait, what? Oh, okay, so the Toa Nui is all 6 Toa combined after they defeat Makuta. Yo, someone build the Toa Nui. I would love to see that. This is a challenge right now. Whoever watching this video builds the Toa Nui and posts, like, I mean, it can't be that hard. Like, maybe some breakdown photos. I will build and review it, and I will also send you a package of cool Bionicle and Duck Bricks merch. I will honestly I think I'll pick my favorite one. Whoever builds a Toa Nui, comment down below that you've built it. So write a comment if you have built it. DM me on Instagram or Discord, and whatever the coolest one, I'll say that this contest will last for the next month after this video is posted. I want to make that. That sounds awesome. And let's use only the pieces of the 6 original Toa and see what people can go crazy with. That is an official Duck Bricks challenge for this video. Okay. This is a Bionicle creative brief. Ooh, what is this? Oh, whoa, this is like handwritten notes in it. Marketing materials brief. Interesting. Okay. Huh. Maybe, should this be another video? Is this worth, because this is not the story Bible. I think this is worth another video. Yeah, let's do this as another video, because I think that has nothing to do with the story Bible. That's just I might have grabbed that by accident. I think Christian Faber only meant to give the story Bible. My apologies, but that's so interesting. But yes, okay, so we've got right here, sums up the legends of the Bionicle, the original 2000 Bionicle Story Bible, never been revealed to the public before until this day. I know this was a long video, so thank you all for sticking with the entire thing. Really, really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed looking through this, and what a monumental document. I feel like my mind is blown on a million different things. Comment what your favorite part of this was. Comment what thing blew your mind in this. This was just so cool. And of course, you can see actually on the thumbnail, there were some original designs for the Kanohi. That actually comes from the early video with Christian Faber I did a while back. The very first video with Christian Faber, delving into the document. So if you want a closer look at that, you can take a look at that mask, alternate and early designs as well. And so, that about wraps us up. Hope you enjoyed looking at The Legends of the Bionicle, Book 4, aka 2000.
Alright, so that sums up our look at the original LEGO Bionicle pre-launch story Bible. Something I never thought I would ever get to read, let alone actually own in my collection, the original copy, annotated. This is just insane. I'm honestly losing my mind right now. This is so cool. I hope that you Bionicle fans found this as cool as I did. And yes, hopefully if not already, the description will be uploaded with a downloadable copy of this document so you can read it yourself. And that's really my goal with all the documents I got. This is just one of many other documents related to Bionicle's history, so there is so much more to come. I hope you enjoyed this video, and comment down below what you want to see next, because I've got story Bibles from pretty much almost every year. There's a Hero Factory story Bible that shows some crazy stuff about Mr. Makuro originally being a villain. That's a little bit of a sneak peek as to what's in there. There's a lot of crazy stuff. There's a financial report on how well Bionicle performed compared to other LEGO themes in 2001. That was probably the most interesting thing to my buddy Robert, who was my teammate on LEGO Masters and also met Christian Faber with me. Probably the second most interesting thing to me. So there's a lot to cover here. Original boneheads of Voodoo Island comics. So whatever you want to see, comment it down below and I'll see what I can do, because there are so many videos in the works. And really, this is hopefully going to be a long collaboration between myself and Christian Faber to get materials like this out to the public and really allow the fans to appreciate something like this. Thank you so much to all of you for watching, and thank you to Christian Faber, if you're watching this, for honestly making that the trip of a lifetime. I will remember this for the rest of my life, and this is so cool. All right, I'll see y'all later. Thanks for tuning in, and bye for now.